So we're starting in the Mishnah, the Ayin Zayin, and with base at the bottom. We're starting there in that Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "Dam shenis arev b'mayim." If you have blood, we're in the middle of this of the whole parak of Ayin Zayin with base at the bottom. We're in the middle of the parak where you have talking about things that get mixed up, and animals that got mixed up, with pieces of meat that got mixed up. Now we're talking about you have blood that got mixed up with water. You have water and blood together. But then it's like this: dam kosher, as long as it still has the color of blood, so it's kosher. It's still red. So as long as it's red, we call it blood. That's what happens if the water and blood got mixed up. Now, what happens when it's got mixed up with wine? What's the color of wine? Red. It's the color of blood. Red. I can't differentiate. I don't know if it's red or not. Usually when it falls in water, you see if it's red or not. Says the Mishnah, now comes the concept. This could be the main Nikuda in our sugya. Roy. What's Roy means? It looks like you treat it like it is water. Meaning, you have to basically go to a laboratory and tell them if this would be not wine but water, would still have the color red or not. I treat it, say, okay, well, whatever, this will be water. That's how I go with. That's what he's saying.
Once you brew the wine
as water.
Wine is water.
Yes.
Same thing as blood and water.
Yeah. So same way when blood falls in water, depends if you have the color red, it's red, if not. So but wine as well. But wine is red anyway. So you have to go and imagine. We'll call for our purposes, but to imagine as if it's water. Really, it's a very difficult thing to do. You have to go to the lab. Basically, the one way to do it is to take the same amount of blood into the same amount of water that you have wine and see what happens to the wall. You have a mixture of the blood of a carbon with the regular blood of an irregular animal, either behem or chayo. Similar thing. I look at it as water and I see, is it still red or not? Continues the Mishnah of Yechezkel on top. We have a din. Oh, yeah. The blood does not cancel blood, which means even if there's only one drop of blood in a million drops of blood, not butter. So as long as it's blood, it's still there. So if I have a little blood of karbonis and I have a lot of blood of other things, even though maybe the color, if it would be water, be completely diluted, but blood is not canceling blood. It got mixed up with blood of animals which are puzzle, not animals that are chulim, that are not kosher. But animals that are not, they have a problem, they cannot come in the mizbeach, they have some issue. The shafik lam, they have to throw it away. Why is that? So we'll see in the Gemara, that not today's daf, either tomorrow's daf. I think most of tomorrow's daf. Is you're going to take the blood, throw it into the amo. Amo is the sewer of Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because it's a gzeira. And now you don't need to use dam soil. Similar thing. Bedam atamtsis yishofech lam. What's dam atamtsis? Dam atamtsis is when you shecht an animal, there's three bloods that come out. At the beginning, there's a little bit of blood that comes out for like any other wound. Comes out a little bit of blood in the beginning. The person has a scratch, it's a little blood. Then you have the main blood, it's called dam nefesh. Then you have dam atamtsis, which is leftover blood. It's three different colors of blood. And the only one which is kosher is only dam nefesh. So he's saying if you have a blood of the animal, but it's not the right blood, it's the part of the blood which cannot be used for a carbon, and it got mixed up in that, you show the hammer to throw it again to the hammer, the same reason why the psulim we throw it to the hammer. Those are machshir, but it says kosher. Even lechatchila, everybody agrees if he did not ask any questions, and he has blood mixed with blood, and he put it on the mizbeach, it is kosher. Okay, so that the second part of the Mishnah, we're not going to go into right now. We'll get to Beis Hashem and tomorrow. Says the word now, if I have blood, the Mishnah started, you have blood and water mixed together. What's the din? The din is you go based on the color. If you still have the color red, it's good. If not, so that's the only case when the water fell into the blood. I have a bucket of blood, water starts dripping into it. One drop, it's nothing. Two drops, carbon, yeah. Suddenly I have a whole, a cup falls in. Another cup falls in. Buckets of waters fall in. So now you say, well, one second, is it still red or not? If it's red, good. If it's not red, not. That's if the water falls into the blood. But if it's the opposite, the blood spills into a bucket of water. So then we have a din, which we'll see all the place in Shas. We should Rishon Botel, which means every drop of blood that falls into the water, the first drop falls into the water. It's one drop out of a million drops. What happens is? Butter. Second, so that's butter. Second drop, butter. Third drop, million drop, butter, because everything ready turned to be water. I look at the blood, it became water. Hi. Now, maybe I talk about when the 10th million drop fell in, now it became red. I don't care. Once it was pushed off, it's pushed off. So every drop
all that is water.
Is water, and every drop that falls into it to be water, and that's it. Now everything is water. Too bad, too late. That's over here. But Omar Papa, Uli and Kisu, you ain't a kid. Kisu, you have a mitzvah Kisu Yadam. What's Kisu Yadam? When you shechte, today we have it today, shechting a bird, what do you do with the blood? To cover it with earth and do a kaparis. So they do kaparis. You have a place. Some places they do shchita. Some places do shchita. Usually I go. They do shchita.
It's a rare bracha. You know, to do it.
Yeah. So you have to cover it. What happens if the blood fell into water? So again, you go to the same idea. As long as it's red enough, it's still blood. It's chai b'kisui. If it's not red enough, you're not chai b'kisui. What happens if the blood dripped into the water slowly, drop after drop after drop? So the first drop that falls into it is butter. Second drop falls into it is butter. The millionth drop now became red. Is it butter? No. Now you do kiss it up. Why? Says the Gemara, a special thing, there's no dichu b'mitzvah. What does dichu b'mitzvah mean? There's no such thing as pushing away a mitzvah. The mitzvah becomes disqualified. So by kachim, once the blood became disqualified, I can't come and restate it. So if it's out, another drop. Once you come to the millionth drop, one second, let's bring back all these bloods that were there. Too late. It's nitcha. It's pushed away. But by mitzvah, it's not like that. And you can always go back to the mitzvah. It's never pushed away. So therefore, it's Yankisa works. No, it is bottle. One drop is bottle. It's canceled.
Once it changes,
But once it changes the color, it will read. It's called in the lush of the Gemara. We'll see the line in the Chulin very soon, in a few months. It's called Chayzer V'Niyah. Was wake it up. You wake it up. Okay, it's up to Gemara on that.
There could be that transition where, like, the first drops, no shaykh, it's still water. But then eventually, at some point, and now chaka is turned
Back at the blood. Yeah.
And then that can be used to spritz and do
Not karbonis for kisui adam.
For kisui adam.
Only for the mitzvah adam. Not for karbonis.
Karbonis. Right.
Very good.
Even if you have a million drops, it's still water.
Right.
But for kisui adam, the testing, it could be done.
You will be chayav and kisui. Exactly. Omar shlokish. Hapigul v'anoisar v'atomesh bololom zebazeh. So here we have a big Rashi had to understand. Let's focus on Rashi. Rashi says that a pigul, noisar, and tomeh are mixed together. By the way, until now we had Rashi Ksavyad, an additional Rashi that we had over here, because Shilukvet says the Rashi we had is wrong. This is the right Rashi. From here on, there's only one Rashi. We're back to original Rashi. Okay, so pigul, what is it? No, only the last 10 blocks. For 10 blocks. So he says, so any one of these is to him, person eats kazayis of it, he's over Isser, it's chayav. Nothing wrong. What's pigul? Pigul is a meat that there was a wrong thought of it. Someone said, I'm going to eat it tomorrow in the wrong time for korbanos. Only works the korban. Noiser is when the actual meat was left over overnight. And tameh means it has tumah. Touch something tameh. If he mixed these three things together, he ate. What did he eat? So he had a kazayis from each one, and he ate them. So did his potter. Why is he potter? Each one, it's exactly kazayis each one. So I'm saying you have kazayis of pigul, and kazayis of nature. One of them is overriding the other one because they mix at each other, and it's battle. So the piece that you're taking and eating. No, right. But in the piece that you're eating, in the kazayis that you're eating, even if you eat four, China is one of them is canceling another. Look at Lashon Rashi. One of them is the roid. We'll get to cancel each other in a moment. But one will be right. How does it be right? Look at Lashon Rashi. Let's see the first wide line in Rashi. Rashi says, when he chooses it, one gets mixed up in the other one. The minority of one with the majority of the other. It cancels out.
It's only beats them both together.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it means. Bones of it. And that changed. Because one became right. We can't measure it. We don't know what it's very hard. You can't measure it. I don't know which one they equal. We don't have a Bashir. The butts are Shuri. I don't know which one is less. And one of them is overriding the other one. The problem is that straw. What are you going to warn him? The guy he takes a piece. Tell him it's nicer. Who said? Maybe it was pickle. So the pickle. Maybe it was tummy. I don't know which one. Because when they go into each other, they cancel each other. That's what Mishnah says. This is what Mishnah says. Sorry. How much look at pickle and nicer tummy shibol and so they mix it together. And he ate them pot. They cancel each other. Shvamino class. You see me three things. First thing you see Shvamino, what Guy just said. Isurim mevatim zeh. You see two Isurim can cancel each other. All right, pickle and nicer. One of them is going to cancel. I would say maybe what is mevatel is only when you have a heter and answer. And have meat and milk, so they cancel each other. The two Isurim, maybe they stay intact. Mevatel each other. The Shvamino, yeah. In other words, if you don't have a kazais from one, and one other one mixed into it and got this bottle, mevatel it. The Shvamino, what?
But if you had a kazais of both.
No, yeah, I'm talking about here you have exactly kazais of each. And they went into each other. So you're saying when they went into each other, some of one was canceled by the other. I don't have a kazais anymore left. So that's one. Vishramino noisin tam beroiv lav derais. It's like, even if I cancel them, I can still taste them. I can put it in my mouth and taste it. So I don't care. Tasting is not enough. Why? Because noisin tam, giving a taste, is only yedin derabon, not in the rice. You're talking about the rice. The third thing is, you cannot punish somebody with a maybe. Because why you can't go to the guy and say, I don't know which one you're eating. I'm not sure. You have three things you're eating over here. One of them is us. I'm not sure what it is. I'm warning you. I'm the witness. If you eat this, you're over Esther. The which Esther? I don't know. One of them. Then you have to tell him which one. That's a rational. So long case of your disagrees. He wants to say, you could say a straw that I'm not sure. I don't know which one. You're either one of these two. It's either pickle or noiser or tum. I don't know which one. Rashi learns that that's something where you can't about. There's not a straw. Macy Brov asked Rabbo, Asa iso min chitim uminoires. He made a dough out of wheat and rice. Im yesh botam dogon. If you still taste the wheat, chayav b'chayv b'chalo. Even though maybe the majority is rice, but as long as it can taste it, noisetam has a din of wheat and chayav b'chalo. Chalo is only in wheat. Rice is no chalo. Even though the majority is iris, you see over here that you go based on taste, and you just said that you can't go based on taste. So you want midarabon? You know you're right. It's midaraisa, so go based on taste. But here's midarabon. Look at the next part. Whoa! It says that in Pesach you can use that as matzah. I can use. You can't use rice. But even if you're a Sephardi and you eat rice at Pesach, you can't use that as matzah. Rice, it's good. So you see the noiset tam does work. Says the one that find Yechezkel with base. Hello, mean b'sheinu minor b'taimo, mean b'minor b'rubo. Says you're right. Depends how we do it. If we're talking about something with something which has a different taste, for example, wheat and rice. Wheat and rice have different tastes. One is wheat, the other one is rice. Right? Different taste. I can taste it. You go based on taste. But when I have two things which are the same, like the meat, talked about before, pigul, noiser, the whole meat. So there, I can't taste it. There's no way to taste it to differentiate the whole meat. So you go based on majority. So when I have a mixture, how do I determine what it is? So if it has either two different types, you go based on the taste. If it's the same type, you go based on the meat. Now remember, what did we learn on that side connects that to our mission? What do we learn in our Mishnah? When I have blood going into wine, can the refrigerate. So what do I do? What do I do? No.
You have blood going into wine.
Into wine, they're both red. How do I figure out?
Line and the-
You look at it as if it's water.
Oh, I look at it as water. Very good. I imagine it to be water. I mean, the fact that they all look the same doesn't deter me. I say, you know what? Let's assume it would be water. What would happen? So you go based on called imagination. Let's call it that way. So here we're not going based on imagination. You say min b'mino is one thing, min shemin is nothing. Why? Say even if it's min b'mino, two meats. Imagine it wasn't meat. I think one says right away. Finishire min b'mino. First of all, let's go back to the first sentence. Very important sentence. We're gonna have a lot of that in the second schooling. We're gonna have a lot about that. Elamin b'sheinu minoi. When you have something with something which is not its min. Mean a type with something which is not its type. Betaimo. That's where the first line of the Gemara. And go with taste. Min b'minoi. Two things are the same in beruba. So more wine, shire min b'minoi, can mean b'sheinu minoi. Even if it's min b'minoi, even if it's the same taste, look at it as if it's not the same taste. Then Nahan, as we learn, is ayayin when it mixes up with wine. You look at the wine as if it's wine in our Mishnah. So what do you see? You imagine it. To do the same thing over here. The one in the beginning wants to give a different shot in the Mishnah. I love the beginning where it says, that's what we understood the Mishnah. That's the most going to conclude in the end. What does it say? Look at it as if it's water. Look at what? What are we looking? When the blood goes into the wine, what are we looking as if it's water? The wine.
Right.
And I say, imagine the wine was water. Will the red still remain or not? So that's a raya that you imagine. So look, Roy was still a dam kilo line. No. You know what it means, Roy was kilo line? Doesn't mean that imagine to be a different thing. It means when blood fell into wine, it's over. It's like as if it was water. There's no blood over it. That's what it means. As if it doesn't exist. It's not blood. It's water. Meaning it's nothing. Says if that's the case, Yaki bottle, just say bottle. That's what you want to tell me. Just say the word bottle. We know it's like water. It doesn't exist. So, in addition, we have a finish of brayso that you're going to use your imagination. What is it? We look at it as if it's red wine. We'll see in the morning what you're referring to. No one's going to bring this brayso. If it was a change of look, it's kosher. So what do you see over here? You see that we do imagine. You just said we don't imagine. Well, you're right. No, it's do you use imagination or not? Tanya saw the brayso. This is the brayso we just quoted before. You have in a bucket white wine. White wine is like water, basically. It's a swat color. Or milk. Also, feed below, you put into the mikvah. Now you need the water to go in there. I go based on the majority. Let me go based on the majority. I go, do I have enough water to be mikvah? Or is milk and wine? I go with the right. I don't look at imagination. That's what I look at. No. I look at it as if it's red wine. If its color would be changing from red and becoming into a clear, kosher, then it's like a mikvah, then it's the water of the mikvah. So you see machlekes, do you use the imagination or not? It's a machlekes. Gavaldik. Machlekes the imagine or you just say no, the way it is it is. So what very meaning, what brings another question? Please, bring another rice. Please, shumale roik. I have a bucket full of saliva. Not a very gishmak, I think, but that's what it is. Fade bilo, and he put it into the mikvah. Ki'ilu loy tova. Why saliva is thick, the water doesn't penetrate. Saka to the bee when the mikvah. Meiraglaim, but yes, something much more pleasant. You have urine. So then, I look at the urine as if it's water. I treat it as water, and Mimele. See, as Rashi points out, even though there is some color to the urine, some color, but still you treat it as water. You treat it as if it's water. If it's full of water of chatos, and it has a din of avatumah, because the water of the paradumo has a din of tummy. So you need to have water. You're more makmir. I don't look at it and try to color. I need to have more water. That's what the Brayta says. Man shaman the decent way. You want to go to the mikvah? Well, he's going to the mikveh right now, right? So you have to have more. You have to make sure that the whole thing gets out. In other words, you have a bucket full of these things. Saliva doesn't go in. We look at it as if it's water. If it's mechatos, more mach. So the Gemara man Shamali needs to ruin. Who's the mandoma that we said? I look at it as if I imagine it to be something else. Rabbi Yehuda. The Ktani, the cycle of the when you say by the mechatos, you go based on roiv. I don't say look at the mechatos as if it's wine or something like that. Says the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Ma'abai Lokash. Question. Meaning, what we say before, that you say roim, that go. Let's see Rashi. First Rashi no. Hadir Abe says Rashi. How did not lay roim oisa kilu yain odom? Look at it as if it's red wine. The Rabbeyu goes based on his red. The machmir bebitu is more machmir. Ki eiche the machmir mimino. We're starting in the beginning of Amud Beis. Same in. The Omar, what did he say? Loi botil klal. Not botil. Umim v'sheinu mino nami. He said botil v'kaimele kozman shemare amud niko beroiv. Loi botil machmir nami. Is machmir. Omar the eicho. I said something wrong. The mino. He holds not bottle at all. So he's also machmir when it's being sheiner miner, two different things. That I go that I treat it like shavi because yain love and b'mayim roim with the kulodov v'lo cycle beruba. Look as if it's red. That's the right before. We said you put into the mikvah white wine. Imagine it's red wine. So I need much more water to dilute it. That's the Rebbe of it. Rebbe himself says when I have two things that look the same, like mechatos and water, based on roim, I don't have to have so much water. How do we know that the Rebbe of Rabbi Yehuda is so machmir? Rabbi Yehuda says in Gamliel, "Ein dam mevatel dam." Blood does not cancel blood. Ein roik mevatel roik. Saliva does not cancel saliva. Vein me'aglayim mevatel me'aglayim. And urine does not cancel urine. Why? Because they're all the same type. What do you see over here? That's called min b'mina. So you see that the Rebbe of Rabbi Yehuda is very machmir. Min b'mina is not bottle at all. It's not bottle at all. Min is not bottle at all. That's already chumr. We all know the is bottle. Question as to what level. But this is what normal. The Rebbe of Rabbi holds min is not bottle. Even min beishainu min two different things. I go to the chumrah. I take even if they're similar color, like white wine and water. They're two different things. I look at the white wine as if it's red wine, and I need to have 90% water in order to cancel. The Rebbe themselves more make min minoi. You put cancel. And things that look the same, that are different, but look the same, you go based on the right. The reason more make that's answer number one. Answer number two, says the Gemara, really Rabbi Yehuda also is machmir. And he holds that I look at it as if it's wine. So why in the case of mechatos, this case, I'm more makel? Here it's different. Please, talking about a kli that the inside was tar. What became tameh was the other side of the kli. Give me that couple seconds. That's four. So here, only this became tameh, not this. What happened to this? In order for this to become tameh, is a tumah derabbanan, not tumah deraisa. A little more. That could be only one part of the kli becomes tameh. So really, what you need to do in the mikveh is you have to take this part of the kli, put it into the mikveh. That's it. Not do the whole thing in the kli. Only the part which is tameh. But the problem is, maybe someone's going to has a new kli, doesn't want to get dirty. He's going to do it. I did it. So when it said, and I just, you're going to put it inside. Let's see that. Where it says, really, I just touch the water. Maybe he's going to be, I don't want this to get dirty. I can put it into the mikveh. Right? The Avit said, I won't put it in the mikveh. But here, he did put it in the mikveh. He did put it in the mikveh. And you have a majority of water. I have a majority. Elamah, even though you have a majority of water, I'm saying, but I might say you still have half of the kli is not with water. That's fine. Because really you don't have to put the kli at all in the mikveh. I don't have to put the bottom of the mikveh. I'm machmir you to put in the mikveh. You put in the mikveh, but you didn't mamish dilute what's in the kli. That's fine. That's gonna be okay. And that's why the Gemara says Rabbi Yehuda really is machmir. The Gemara concludes right now to say royin. I will look at it as if it's something else, but not in this case because here's more cool. So what the word we learned today, the main thing they want to take away, the takeaway is the idea of roy. Roy that we saw in our Mishnah. I look at something and say, this thing, what would happen if it would be wine? How would I treat it then? What would happen then? And that's what we're trying to say. If you look at the wine, you need much more to dilute it. The more says, won't say maybe Rabbi Yehuda is more makel. You don't treat it that way. But his Rebbe is makbir. The more says maybe not. But we saw that there's a machlekes before. Do you say roim at all or not? Don't say roim. If you don't say roim, you go be say roim. 51%. Good enough. So this. So go up. Stop over here. Continue from here tomorrow. Be'ezer Hashem. Paul, 2 say.
Very